India's 190-year path to independence was shaped by three internal factors and one major external catalyst. This timeline was the result of deep geographic division, a slow shift in political strategy, and the multi-generational nature of nonviolent mobilization. Independence was finally secured when peak Indian unity intersected with a severely weakened British Empire. In 1757, the Indian subcontinent was a collection of fractured independent kingdoms rather than a single unified state. The British East India Company used trade and alliances to isolate these territories, absorbing them piece by piece. This internal fragmentation prevented a unified defense, allowing the British to establish control that would take nearly 2 centuries to dismantle. The Revolt of 1857 failed to end British rule because the uprising lacked subcontinent-wide coordination and a central leadership structure. Organized political pushback began in 1885 with the formation of the Indian National Congress. This early leadership focused on systemic reform within the British system, not immediate self-rule. Resistance in the 19th century was either too physically disjointed to win or too politically cautious to demand immediate freedom. Mahatma Gandhi pivoted the movement toward mass nonviolent resistance, a strategy designed to bridge India's deep cultural divides. Campaigns like Non-Cooperation and Quit India mobilized millions of citizens across the country for the first time. Nonviolent resistance relies on building a broad national consensus across millions of people. This strategy creates high levels of unity, but requires decades of sustained pressure to erode the ruling power's control. Systematically rebuilding a unified national identity was required for success, but the process inherently took decades to mature. Following World War II, Britain's domestic economy and military infrastructure were severely depleted. By 1947, the rising pressure of a unified Indian public meant the total depletion of British resources. Britain no longer possessed the economic or military strength required to hold a fully mobilized subcontinent. Over 190 years, the region transitioned from a vulnerable collection of fractured kingdoms to a unified political force. To achieve liberation, the Indian populace had to systematically reverse the exact structural disunity that had enabled their initial conquest.